Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. Peace. Peekaboo. I see you because I'm YouTube famous now. Available in the fall of 2022, the album Dad AF. Big Mac fillet of fish, quarter pound of French fries, Gucci, Louis, Fendi, Prada. How are you guys doing today? Well, the much anticipated video that I have received so many DMs, tweets, and emails about. People have been requesting my response to the part 1 of the new Shane Dawson series, which so many people have been awaiting. The part 1 of the new series, which Shane Dawson posted yesterday, is called The Canceled World of Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson, which is total irony because we know that they don't believe that. But they're going to go in there and they're going to talk about, you know, how they were supposedly canceled, and Jeffree Star is going to say, what we're not going to do is make Jeffree Star the drama of 2022 because I don't address any drama. And that's going to be part 2 of them sitting on the yakety yak ranch and all this kind of stuff. So, now listen, Linda, okay? 2 things. I went into this with a really open mind. I actually watched it late last night. I started watching it like earlier in the day, like when it was released. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do a rush job and rush through this and watch it. I want to kind of sit on it for 24 hours and think about it. So I rewatched it, started rewatching it again late last night, and you guys, I was so incredibly bored with it. That's just my honest opinion going into this, okay? But before, what I was going to say was that I was going into this with a completely open mind, okay? So I do want to say that. The second thing I want to say is that anytime that I do a video, and I just mentioned this a couple days ago in a video that I did over here talking about, I think, Shane Dawson, I said that anytime I do a video about Shane Dawson, that I get a lot of Shane fans over here that are like, oh, you're so jealous of Shane, and you have a hate boner for Shane Dawson, and all this kind of stuff, okay? That's not the case. And, you know, then the follow-up to that is, well, if you don't like Shane, then just don't watch his videos. Okay, so I don't know why I continuously have to explain this, but I'm a drama commentary channel, okay? So when you come over to my channel, you're going to find videos of me doing commentary on YouTube videos. That's what you're going to find over here, okay? So, for example, if you find this video, and this video is called something like Shane Dawson's second money grab, or cash grab, or whatever, and you don't want to watch that because you know it's going to probably piss you off, okay? This probably isn't the video that you need to watch, and likewise, you don't have to watch my videos. I do have to say this, that I was seeing some things online yesterday, and it's nice to know that I'm not the only one that actually gets all of those comments, because there are a lot of people out there that do commentary on Shane Dawson that have much larger channels than I do, right? And that get accused of being jealous and having a hate boner for somebody. Because, of course, you can't give somebody criticism, or you can't criticize somebody, or you can't just say that maybe this person isn't really a good person because they're giving a platform to a predator like Shane Dawson is doing with Jeffree Smith. You can't say those things, right? And it be true, and just say maybe this person hasn't grown or isn't a good person because they really haven't shown much growth. What it is that you have a hate boner and that you're jealous for them. It can't just be that they're just not maybe that good of a person, right? And I know, listen, okay, we all have our fans, all right? It would take a lot. It would take a lot for Stevie Nicks to do for me to fall out of love with Stevie Nicks, okay? But I ain't going to her fan pages and writing up things about, listen, Linda, if you don't like Stevie, then rock on Gold Dust Woman. You know, I'm not saying it, okay? It's just, it is what it is. So, I watched this, the part 1 of this. Is it a series? Is that what it is? Is it just a vlog? I'm so confused, okay? And, poor Shane, he doesn't know what to do without Andrew, does he? And I have to just say, like, I love Chris so much. I think that Chris is such a nice guy. And, you know, and what an opportunity to work for Shane Dawson. And I know that they've been friends for a long time. But no, like, Chris is a nice guy. You know, there were a lot of comments that Chris was like, the camera was like shaking a lot. I think the thing is that Andrew was, this is just what I witnessed going into this or watching this, that Andrew was more of a counterpart to Shane, whereas I believe that there was probably a lot of conversations that occurred. Like Andrew said, I think you should do this, or I think this would be better. I don't just think it was Andrew was the man with the camera, okay? Whereas I think Chris is more kind of getting used to his own style and things like that, which he's kind of coming into, which I appreciate. And like I said, he seems like a really nice guy, right? But I think that he is more just the guy with the camera. And Shane's like, shoot this, shoot that. We're going to go here. We're going to do that. Whereas I think that Andrew was more of like part of the creative development part of the team as well. And Shane even said that in the past. Although Trisha Paytas got 5%. Now we know Andrew got 25% because at one point in the video, Shane, when he's talking about how bitter he is that he didn't make enough money off this palette, and he goes in and talks about all the taxes he had to pay, and listen, y'all don't know the back end of all this kind of stuff. What you would think, he's going in here and he's talking about like how expensive it is to, you know, develop the palette, and he didn't really make as much money. He says 10 to 20, so I'm like, okay, so he made 8 to 9 million. That's what he made, because he said, I didn't make 10 to 20 million like people think. So when you hear people say that, it means they made just under that. So he made 8 to 9 million dollars, and then he goes in and he's talking about how much in taxes he had to pay, and he's talking about, you know, like how much back end there was in developing this palette and things like that. Well, I mean, you did a whole 20-part series infomercial on this. You would think that you would know that before going into it, okay? So I'm sorry. But then at one point he said he even had to pay his coworker, okay? He can't even say out of his mouth, my friend Andrew that I worked with creatively on the past series. He can't even say that. He says, my coworker. So for anybody out there that is wondering if they are still friends, I think we know that is over at this point, okay? Because he is no longer a past friend. He is no longer a creative, you know, entity that I used to work with. He is a past coworker, okay? That got 25%. So anyway, I was kind of blown away by that a little bit. I was like, this is where I don't think that Shane really knows how to edit himself. So I went in and I started watching this. I think the first thing that was very surprising to me was the timeline. And I'm kind of surprised that more people aren't talking about this, because I've watched several videos and they're well done commentary videos on this, but I'm kind of surprised that people aren't talking more about the timeline, because I was very confused about the timeline. And I know when I say this, people will be like, Peter, what you don't know is a lot, okay? And so anyway, but it starts on February 7th of 2020, okay? And he's in his closet and he's filming like with his iPhone, just footage, okay? And I think this is the same day that he's going, well, no, because Chris is in the closet with him. So he's filming it on February 7th of 2020. I'm so confused, you guys, by the timeline, okay? But then there's footage of him going to meet with Jeffree about the new palette. Oh, I'm at 8 minutes and 32 seconds and I haven't mentioned the new palette yet. Oh, they're coming out with a new palette. When I saw this come up, and I had already been DM'd and tweeted so much about the fact that they were coming out with a new palette, I really was like, oh no, they're not. Like, I really, you guys, in all honesty, and this was me going into it with an open mind, I really thought, okay, so many people call this a cash grab because, first of all, your interest was just, I want to see what the background of the beauty industry is. Then you come out and you call the beauty industry a circus and that you want no part of it in it again, okay? And you literally slammed everybody in the beauty community, okay? Then you had made this Shane Glosson 2 channel that was dedicated to makeup. We never saw a makeup look, not even with your own conspiracy palette, okay? Then you had the balls to come out just months ago and start doing makeup again on your Snapchat, okay, which we all were speculating was for this next upcoming series again. But I really, you guys, to be honest with you, like, I really, if I were going to put money on it, I would have said there's no way they are coming out with another palette. And it appears that they might be, okay? It appears that this might be a 3-part series. At the end, they're going to come out with this canceled palette. Don't come to me. Do not come to me after Shane Dawson said that the reason why he did it the first time, which we're going to talk about in just a second, okay, because he was asked by Ryland's mother if it was a cash grab or not, and he said, no, I was just passionate about finding out about the beauty industry and whatever, okay? You haven't done a makeup look in 2 years, okay? He sits down there and talks at one point about doing makeup on other people. We didn't see that. You didn't show that. You didn't throw up any videos on your Shane Dawson channel. You took your money and ran. That's why people call it a cash grab, okay? And he's like, oh, there are so many other things that I could have made quick money off of, like merch, because you've consistently been putting out merch ever since then as well, right? Hey, get your bag. Get your money however you get your money. I just wish you'd be a little bit more honest about it, right? So if you put out this first palette, and that was the most exciting thing that you ever did, whatever, and you made all this money, but then you had to pay all this money in taxes, what's the point in putting out a second palette? You've already learned how to do it. You're not a makeup guru. You already told off the makeup community, right? Okay, so February 7th is on the heels of them coming out just in the previous fall winter, okay, with the palette and things like that. So he's in his closet and he's showing these clothes and he's making all of these like cringy jokes. It goes back and forth, you guys. Like, I'm so confused about the timeline. It goes back and forth between he and Jeffree sitting in a lab going over these colors, okay, which I think is from the past. Well, I know it's from the past. And then it goes to current day with things that are going on today, because there's a lot of conversation with he and Chris talking about like the surrogate and getting a new dog and things like that. Things that have just recently been shown in Ryland's vlogs recently. So we know that that has been recent, okay? And then there's like this in-between part. So I'm like, well, when did it all change for Shane? So I wanted to research it last night. So I went in last night and I looked up because I wanted to see when Shane came out and he made his claims about the beauty community. Remember the welcome to the circus part where he said, I'm done with the beauty community forever? And that was on June 22nd of 2020. He actually made a statement on Twitter, I think on June 21st. So February to March, March to April, April and May to June. He comes out, he's filming this, okay, that he's going to use later for the series, which he didn't know at the time. Even though, if you watch it at the beginning, he says, I'm not doing this for a series. What series should we come up with? It's like, I don't know how people don't watch this and catch these small things, and they're just like, oh my God, we love you, Shane, so much. We love you. So anyway, 4 months, okay, after him still filming about wanting to do this new palette, he comes out, Shane Dawson, here it is on Cosmopolitan, Shane Dawson slams the beauty community and announcing he's quitting. So I went in because I wanted to find the statement that he made, which is forever long, and I'm not going to read it to you guys because most of you remember it, but I will read you the last paragraph. And the last paragraph says, so go, enjoy the gurus, enjoy the circus. Unsubscribe from me if you are mad that I am no longer engaging in it, the beauty community. Unsubscribe to gurus who you don't like. Subscribe to gurus you do like. Just don't take the beauty world as seriously as I did, or as many of us did in 2019. It's not worth it, and I feel like we all lost a bit of our soul during Dramageddon. As for my channels, I am done with the beauty world. Okay, flash forward 2 years, we're back to the beauty world, okay? And this is where people, you know, and hey, listen, he has a right to change his opinion and all that kind of stuff, okay? But there's been a lot of things, you know, like I talked about the Jeffree Smith thing, like people, you know, they kind of like, or who. It's like when you read the comments, first of all, I will say this, people are literally sending me comments left and right that are being deleted. And I went into his channel and I looked at comments, and as I was reading them down, I would refresh it and comments were gone, okay? So they're highly deleting comments on this video. They don't want anything being called out about Jeffree Smith. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Jeffree Smith is the YouTuber that Shane Dawson said that he's going to be using to edit his podcast in 2023. Jeffree Smith has a extremely high level of alleged accusations of being a predator, of which he even took ownership from and came out. And Shane Dawson, on the heels of his cancellation, is coming out and doing this. Okay, so they talk a lot about this cancellation in the video. But what's interesting is that Jeffree and him talk about the cancellation, okay? And then he's talking about the cancellation when he's filming it on his phone. And I'm like, well, how are you talking about the cancellation if you haven't been canceled yet? Because the cancellation came after him exiting the beauty world. So I'm so confused by the timeline of how this is set up. And I think that he just thought that he would just, like, people would just accept that, like, it all makes sense. Because when you're literally watching it, it is like clip, 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 clip. I mean, it's like Jeffree Star and Shane goes into the dog, goes into this, goes into that, goes into that. It is so confusing to watch. It literally makes no sense whatsoever. He talks in there about how he actually wanted to call the series, hold on, I screenshot it. The Mind of Shane Dawson, I think is what he was going to call it. The Mind of Shane Dawson is what he was going to call it. And he was going to have just like family members and friends like ask him questions. Okay. So at one point, he goes over, they're at Ryland's family's house. And I love Ryland's family. I just want to say this, okay? So before I get into this, and people come for me, I just want to say, okay? I love Ryland's family. I love them, right? But I'm confused. Okay, so there's a scene, and they're like, so Shane says, ask me anything. You can ask me anything, okay? So Shane's mom and him go out and sit on the front porch. And Shane says, okay, so do you have a question for me, basically, right? And Ryland's mom, did I say Shane's mom? I meant Ryland's mom. So Ryland's mom says, I do have a question for you, okay? But, like, she says she gets kind of nervous because she, you know, like, she'll like something on social. It's real cute, okay? And I'm sitting there and I'm watching her because it reminds me of being with my mother-in-law. I love my mother-in-law. I have the greatest mother-in-law in the entire world, okay? She asks me questions all the time. So, but I don't think she's asking me stuff about online stuff because she don't care, okay? So I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and Ryland's mom says, I do have a question for you, okay? Now, out of all of the questions, when you are doing a video, okay, and you know that your future son-in-law is doing a video called The Mind of Shane Dawson, okay? A mother. When you are talking about the cancellation of Shane Dawson, all the accusations that Shane Dawson has faced, on and on and on, the fact that they still aren't married, I mean, that was something that my mother-in-law would have been on. She'd be like, why aren't you guys haven't got married yet, you know? Well, I mean, on and on, and I'm sure maybe she probably knows the background of all that kind of stuff, but all the questions that you could ask to really explore somebody's personality in a YouTube video for his audience to understand. The one question you're going to ask is why you never responded to people saying that the palette was a money grab. Seriously? Now, I feel like that's a bit contrived, okay? I do. I'm sorry. But I thought, listen, Linda. Everybody knows nobody's going to come for Ryland's mom, okay? She's sweet as peach pie. We all know nobody's going to come for Ryland's mom. They're not going to question it. They're not going to say it, okay? Do I think that Shane said, here, ask me this question? No. Do I think they may have sat down there and had a 45-minute conversation? He recorded the whole thing and that was part of it? Yes, I do, okay? And he ended up using just that part. I just think it's so interesting, and when you go in and you watch it, she is very mama bear and defensive about it. She asks him, she says, like, you know, like, I got online and I was very upset because a lot of people said that it was a money grab. And I know, then what she does is she goes in and she asks the question, but then she explains the whole answer to the question, okay? Listen, I know people are going to come over here and they're going to be like, are you seriously talking about Ryland's mom? They put her in the video. They put her in the video, so she's open to be talked about, okay? So, and like I said, I love her. I like her. We can go to the Cracker Barrel. We can go shopping and eating at the Cracker Barrel any day. I like her. She seems like a real nice gal to me, you know? But I just thought, like, seriously, like, and she says, I know that you just get really passionate about things and on and on and on and all this kind of stuff. And yes, this huge project that you did afforded your son and his future and your future son-in-law to have an amazing life. The fact that Shane Dawson got in this video and said that he didn't make enough money off the conspiracy palette to retire on. Shane, do you really realize how much money people make in a lifetime? Do you realize that most people in a lifetime won't even make $1 million? Do you have any realization of reality? And this is where, like, the Jaclyn Hills and all the Trisha Paytases and the Shane Dawsons, and they want to talk about money, and they have no real concept of money whatsoever. And in fact, I found this comment on here, and it said, I made, quote, I made millions of dollars, but taxes, please, all feel sorry for me that I had to pay taxes. What a joke, Shane. This is a comment on his video that was not deleted yet. I'm effing middle class and pay more than 35% towards taxes. I bet everything I own betting that you pay a lower tax rate than a normal working person. I'll pay my tax returns. 75,000 made, 25% or 25,000 taken for taxes. That's my life. To have a millionaire complaining about taxes to those that likely pay a higher tax rate is insane. You work when you want and feel like it. The rest of us have to work daily in order to eat food. And I think it's a great comment. I really do. Like, seriously, like, and the whole video is very much like, I mean, it's like people want to talk about how much Shane has changed. It's the self-deprecating, being overweight jokes again. It's the sexual cringe jokes that he makes towards Chris. Chris is like, he's making these jokes about Chris getting hard, and Chris is like, I mean, it's almost like Chris is kind of like uncomfortable with it because it's uncomfortable to watch, right? It's all of that. You know, it's all of this, like, let's base it on emotionality part. So anyway, this money grab part that he talks about in there, you know, she goes on and she explains that she knows that Shane just gets excited about things and wanting to know everything about it. And her explanation is really good. It's just not Shane's explanation. It's her explanation of the question that she asked. So then he goes in and, of course, he superimposes all these pictures over it and things like that for us to get, like, really into it. I mean, when people talk about Shane Dawson being, like, a genius editor, which I'd said in the past, you know, for me, it's really like, no, he's just really good at throwing in pictures and video clips. That's really what it is. This is so disjointed. This is like watching the Blair Witch Project on, like, really bad drugs in the 70s at 2 times speed. Okay? That's what this felt like to me. So then he goes in and he explains it, and he's like, yeah, I don't address it because I don't watch drama anymore. And in fact, it really did upset me when people would say that it was a cash grab. And then that's when he goes in explaining the money situation. And I'm just like, at this point, I'm like, I can't with you at all. Like, seriously. You know, when your pal Jeffree Star just came out in the Logan Paul thing and said that every other beauty guru was jealous of you guys because you were doing something that nobody had ever done before. You guys are so elitist. You are so arrogant and cocky behind the scenes, but you don't want anybody to see that. But this is the problem, Shane, is your little friend that you continue to do these series with, he screws the pooch for you, okay? Because you're over here going like, oh, gee, gosh, wow, oh my God, I can't believe it, oh my gosh, wow, let me, You're doing all this over here, and Jeffree Star's over here going, well, every beauty guru in the entire world was so jealous of Shane and I because we were doing something that had never been done before. And so then there it is again. We have more of these clips, okay, where, you know, it looks like he just had his fingernails done miraculously beautifully. They did look great, okay, pedicured, okay, and he's like, you know, doing you know, all that, okay, and everything. We're seeing these colors, and I'm like, is this seriously happening? Like, are we really, like, back in 2019 again? Like, do we not get enough of it then? Oh, we didn't get enough of it. Then he's speeding through this whole thing. Shane's already got his next series planned, you guys. This was really just a preface for his next series, which is where he reached out, and I haven't really heard any commentary channels talk about this. He reached out to some musician and asked this person if he could do a series on them. Do y'all know who it was? He threw up a picture, but it was all blacked out and you couldn't see. Who is that? I was like, is that Billie Eilish? I was like, Billie Eilish wouldn't do a series with Shane Dawson. I was like, it's got to be somebody that's like, it's not Ariana Grande, Selena Gomez. Who is that? I couldn't figure out who it was. The same way like she's got feather costumes and things like that. It's probably JoJo Siwa. Should we consider her a rock star? I don't know. So anyway, so that was that. And then the next thing here, let me get to my notes. Okay. Oh, I'm almost all the way through with my notes. Okay, this was the other thing I want to talk about, was when he was talking about the Jeffree part and planning the next, palette, which I'm sure is going to be called Canceled, okay? I'm sure if they come out with a new palette, it's going to be called Canceled, and, because this is the canceled world of Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson, right? So, of course, it'll be called. And I know that the second part will be them flying out there will be the first 15 minutes, them being shown around the yak farm, the yak ranch, and then the last 20 minutes will be he and Jeffree sitting down, and the other thing that was interesting to me about this, and I noticed that Adam McIntyre said the same thing, and I thought the same thing when I was watching it, was there was no cliffhanger. And it really showed you that Shane Dawson is not the editor, that Andrew was always the editor in this case. Because at the end of it, it just kind of shows the dogs on the couch, and then it goes to them, like, going to the airport. It's very travel vlog, you guys. I mean, this is just, like, a day in the life, and he says it's a day in his life, right? But it's, like, all these people underneath there that are like, oh, my God, this is genius. This is a documentary. It's a vlog, you guys. It's a vlog. If you guys want me to give you the recommendations of 10 people out there that are doing this on a daily basis, every day, not just once a year, I can let you know who they are. But there are millions of people on YouTube that are doing daily vlogs, okay? This is not a documentary. I'm very confused about this, okay? So anyway, and then it shows them in the plane and they're flying, you know, to Wyoming. So that's how the whole thing ends. And then it just, like, cuts to black. Like, it's not... To me, like, he always says these cliffhangers that, like, make you like, oh my God, I can't wait to order my pizza and watch the Shane Dawson documentary. It wasn't that, and he didn't even, like, show a trailer for next week or whatever, and I'm kind of wondering if he's kind of wanting to see what the feedback is before they decide to go forward with this, what do you call it, but they would have to already have ordered it and have it, like, gone, you know, be ordered and all that kind of stuff. He did show, or he brought out the palette to show it. But at this point that he's talking about the palette, right, and he's going to the lab with Jeffree Star and stuff, he says in there something to the effect of that he has been saving these colors, and he has all of these colors that are, like, shown that are saved, right? Which I thought was very interesting because he shows this one color, and it's like, I think it's a Tom Ford, what do you call it? A Tom Ford, this was just, when you watch these videos, you just, like, think things. Okay, it was like a Tom Ford cologne bottle, I think. It was, like, Neroli. And I was looking at it, and it's, like, this blue bottle. And he had, like, taken a picture of it. And I think that's the color that the scientist makes in the lab or whatever. It was cool to see that part. I thought that was cool to see that. And so she brings over this color, and it's, like, exactly the color of what he showed. And I'm like... Okay, but, like, Tom Ford used that color in a perfume bottle. Isn't that Tom Ford's color that he came up with that you guys are, like, now replicating and using in a palette? Like, are you allowed to do that? Like, I'm just asking. Like, I was, like, a little kind of confused about all of that. So Shane takes all these pictures, you know, of, like, booths and restaurants and everything, like, anything that inspires him, right? And he had the nerve to say, I could not believe this. Now, I am somebody that has followed Shane very, very closely over the last 2 years. And I have followed his lack of doing any makeup over the last 2 years, okay? And he had the nerve to say in there that he has been watching, okay, his playing with makeup or doing makeup on someone else. Girl, who are you doing makeup on? Seriously, who are you doing makeup on? You're not doing makeup on nobody. Because he's trying to find out what could possibly be the next trend. And when you hear him say this, it really comes across like he really does believe that he's kind of a beauty guru, okay? And I'm like, oh, this is cute, Shane. Like, you believe you're a beauty guru. Like, this is kind of cute. And because of the timeline, you can't figure out when he's saying this. Like, did this happen post-cancellation, post-circus announcement, pre-circus announcement? When did it happen? That he was still trying to figure out the trends of makeup, okay? What gives you that, other than just liking to play with makeup, which we saw up to the point that the conspiracy palette came out. And I think it's important that we remember this, okay? For all of you fans out there, argue with me all you want, but you cannot deny that Shane played with makeup, showed his makeup room, showed all the PR that he got up to the time that the conspiracy palette was released. And then shortly after that, we didn't see any looks from Shane Dawson. In fact, that was when the Shane Dawson channel kind of like got started, and a lot of drama channels, myself included, were saying, where are the looks? You can't even do one look with this conspiracy palette that you made all of this money off of, okay? And he wasn't doing any looks. Then Shane Dawson took his exit off of YouTube and social media, and we really didn't see any looks, okay? Then he comes back, and he comes back to YouTube and to social media, and we still don't see any looks until just recently when he's getting ready to put this series out, which of course is about makeup. And people want to say this man is not calculated, okay? Okay, whatever, I can't. But listen, Linda, I'll watch it. I mean, I'll watch it, you know, for you. For you! I'll do it for you! Anyway, it was Boresville to me. It really was. And I was, you know, I was really kind of hoping that I could come back out of it and be like, you guys, like, I was really more interested in it. I will say this. Thank God it wasn't just about him going to Jeffree Star's Yak Ranch and him just doing yaks, okay? Because, like, and he said even in there, he was like, yeah, I could have just gone to Jeffree Star's Yak Ranch, but, like, what would that be, right? And I was like, thank God. Thank God you understand that we don't care that much about that yak farm, okay? So, thank God it was something different than that. It piques my interest enough to want to continue to watch it a little bit, I guess. I don't know. It's just, yeah. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.